What's up everybody, Dylan here. Thanks for tuning back into DWU Does Things. I've noticed that there's not a lot of information on YouTube about belay parkas and jackets for really cold temperatures. So let's get into it. So behind me, I have a bunch of jackets and I definitely don't need this many jackets. But what I wanted to do is provide some information here on YouTube for anybody that's looking for their next piece of insulating equipment for really cold temperatures. Now, I have everything from roaming the streets of Burlington, Vermont in the fall and winter, all the way up to summiting Mount Everest. So this isn't going to be an exhaustive list of everything that's out there on the market, but it's going to give you an idea as to what's available, the different types of insulating pieces that you might need for varying conditions, and a couple of different options that are out there on the market now for you to compare. So let's get into that. So I'm going to be comparing two different categories of jackets. There's a lot of information out there about these two different categories, and that is down insulation and synthetic insulation. Now I'm going to start out with down insulation because I have a much bigger list of jackets to talk about there, and then we'll get into the synthetic piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with light down jackets, and then I'm going to work our way up to light down parkas, medium weight parkas, and then heavyweight parkas. So when it comes to the weight of a down garment, you want to look at the fill weight, not the total weight of the jacket, but the fill weight. The fill weight is what really gives you the warmth factor. The fill power is another consideration. Fill power refers to the compressibility of the down. Fill weight refers to how much down there actually is in the garment. And so that's the baseline that we're going to use to determine the weight and the kind of the warmth category of the jacket and what it's going to be appropriate for. So lightweight down jackets typically range between 3 and 4 ounces of down. Some have a little bit less. You'll find some Cumulus down products or the Mont-Bell Plasma 1000 jackets might have like 1.5 to 2 ounces of down, but 3 to 4 ounces of down is pretty standard for a lightweight down jacket. Now, light parkas, you'll be finding those to be right in the, 5 to not quite 6 ounces of down range. And those are going to be good for when you're headed out, maybe you're going skiing, or you really just need a heavier jacket for the real winter months. You might not need to be layering underneath it, but those are going to keep you warm during those winter months, whether you're strolling around town or maybe you're off skiing at the resort, hitting some laps, going back into the lodge. For those commutes, that's what you're really going to be looking for. Or, if you want a heavier jacket than a down jacket for something like climbing, and it's just going to go right over your base layers and not necessarily have to layer very much, a lightweight down parka is going to be great for that. Medium weight parkas are going to have between 7 and 9 ounces of downfill. Now, you're getting up towards 9, that might be bordering on heavyweight parka, but typically, 6.5 to 8.5, 9, 7 to 9 ounces of down is going to be your mid-weight parka range. Now, these parkas are going to, more often than not, be cut a little bit bigger so that you can layer with, and they are going to really keep you super toasty warm when you're starting to get up in elevation on mountains in really, really cold weather. Like I'm talking single digits to single negative digits. And depending on whether you're moving or standing still, that's also going to be a factor, but we'll talk about that a little bit more. Heavyweight parkas are going to be your expedition parkas. These are going to be 9 ounces or more of down, some even greater, like the Mountain Hardwear absolutezero right here. That's an Everest parka. That jacket weighs over 3 pounds almost. And it has a lot of downfill in it. And we're going to get to that, but we're going to work our way up here. Heavyweight parkas are going to be your expedition level insulation pieces. Those are going to go over everything else that you wear. Those will be built to layer, and they will have a lot of fill weight in them. 9 ounces or more of down fill is what you're going to be looking for in a heavyweight expedition parka for the most extreme temperatures. I'm talking -20 and below. Now, it's going to be kind of rare to find situations like that. And more often than not, like I live in Vermont, and there are a couple weeks out of the year where we'll get down to -15. I think the coldest I ever saw without wind chill was -28 here in Vermont, which that's pretty cold. So, you know, you're going to be layering up quite a bit, but those expedition heavyweight parkas are really for keeping you alive, not just warm. So let's get into the different jackets here, and we'll get on with the video. So starting with light down jackets. These are often referred to as down sweaters or down sweater hooded jackets. This is the Mountain Hardwear Phantom down hooded jacket. Very often confused with the Mountain Hardwear Phantom Parka. This is what I really like to use for pretty much 3-season use, or even winter use if it's just casual. But this really has become my go-to backpacking puffy for just about all conditions. I took this up on Mount Washington in July. I really can't recommend this jacket enough. I think it is probably, to me, the best down jacket on the market right now. You know, people will argue, but it doesn't get much better than this. Now, the second runner-up that I really like is this llbean Ultralight 850 down sweater hooded jacket. And I did another video review on this as well, because I have used this more than I've used anything else. I've had it the longest, and it has not let me down. This jacket is fantastic. It has hydrophobic down, and it's really warm, and the sleeves are long enough. I got a tall version, and the sleeves are long enough that they bunch up a little bit and create almost a kind of box baffle construction, which I really like. It also has a 20 denier Pertex ripstop nylon shell. It's been pretty abrasion resistant. It's been very strong and durable, and I really enjoy it. I really enjoy this jacket. This is another very, very popular jacket, and I think it's just kind of a spec sheet champion. It's not really great as far as performance goes. This is the Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisperer 2. It's probably one of the lightest down jackets out there, but being the lightest, it's not necessarily the warmest. And I've actually noticed a lot of down migration in this jacket, and it just didn't keep me super warm. These jackets keep me super warm. You know, I use this llbean jacket all through the winter and here in Vermont, and it really kept me warm. I use this in 40-degree weather on Mount Washington in the spring. Not warm. Not warm at all. So, tossing this one to the side. Did that in another video, but this is getting the bench. So basically, you know, if I'm to compare, I would highly recommend either the Mountain Hardwear Phantom down hooded jacket or the llbean Ultralight 850 down hooded sweater. These are very lightweight down garments. They both weigh about, the llbean weighs about 14 ounces. The Phantom, the Mountain Hardwear Phantom weighs about 10 ounces. It's like maybe an ounce heavier than the Ghost Whisperer, but it's much more storm-worthy, much better insulating. It has larger baffles and keeps you warmer. And the face material is a lot burlier too. It's got 20 denier ripstop versus the 10 denier on the Ghost Whisperer. To me, a down jacket is supposed to keep you warm, and if it doesn't do that, get rid of it. And that was the Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisperer for me. Mountain Hardwear Phantom jacket, fantastic. So I am 5'7". I have a 40-inch chest, 32-inch waist, 22 inches pit to pit. My arms are 32 inches. And the medium on the Mountain Hardwear Phantom jacket fits me superb. You know, I have really no extra length on the arms, which is great. The whole jacket is really nicely fitting. Now, it is designed to be, and it is marketed as a jacket for shiver-free belays And you know, the pockets do represent that. You know, it does have a climbing harness compatible pocket set up here. They're set a little bit higher than on, you know, your typical jacket. So this jacket was kind of made for climbing. It has an internal pocket underneath the down, so that can help you keep your things warm inside. And it does fit a cell phone. I have an iPhone XR. It's kind of old, but fits it really nice. And the hood fits great too. No adjustments on the hood, but it does have a nice closure around the face, and when it's unzipped, the tops of the zippers aren't folding in. They butterfly out nicely, keeps it off your chin, which I really like. So that's the Phantom jacket. I really, really like it, highly recommend it. Now let's throw on the llbean Ultralight 850 down hooded sweater jacket. This is a fantastic all-around everyday down jacket. I have worn this more than I've worn anything else, and I got the medium. I wear a medium. I got the medium tall, and I really like what the tall does for the sleeves. First off, it has really nice elastic cuffs here. They really do their job. They keep my sleeves from going up over my wrists here and onto my hands and palms. And it helps bunch up the sewn through baffles here, so that you really almost have a sewn or a box baffle construction here. So that really helps with warmth, and it also helps with reaching. On this jacket, the pockets are set much lower, so this definitely is not a climbing jacket for sure. It has these burly overbuilt zippers with some nice rubber llbean emblazoned pull tabs. And then it has an external chest pocket with the down on the outside. But this is a less technical piece. You know, I wouldn't necessarily say more versatile, because it's not. But it's more of your all-around everyday down jacket. You know, kind of finds its sweet spot as an ultralight down jacket for backpacking in 3-season weather or casual use year-round. Both of these jackets have between 3 and 4 ounces of down in them, which would put them right in the range of a lightweight down jacket, which is excellent for 3-season use or 4-season casual use, which is what I've found these to be great for. These jackets have taken me through early spring, late fall type of weather. You know, I wouldn't necessarily use this as my only piece in the early or late shoulder seasons, but they've definitely done the trick. I wouldn't take them high up on the mountain as my only piece of warmth, but they've really suited me well, and I'm really grateful for these. They're really well designed, and these are excellent examples of lightweight down jackets. So let's talk about lightweight down parkas. In my hands here, I have a Rab Electron down parka, and I also have a Montane Antifreeze parka. These are going to be your lightweight, you know, some will even just call them down jackets. And the real big difference between parkas and jackets is the layering. And you know, some will argue with me, this is really just to be a baseline for you, but lightweight parkas or heavyweight jackets, you know, it's a toss-up, but these jackets really aren't built to layer very much, and I'll show you that in a minute. They are really designed to be a single throw-on. Maybe you'll have a base layer in a fleece, but you know, these are really supposed to be the sole throw-on insulating layer. And these are really similar jackets in many ways, but they're also pretty different. So the Rab Electron has 190 grams of 800 fill power European RDS certified down with Nix Wax hydrophobic treatment. The weight of this jacket is about 490 grams with a fill weight of 190 grams. It cost $325 new, and it has a down to weight ratio of 0.39, meaning if you divide the down weight by the total weight of the jacket, the ratio comes out to about 39% of the weight of this jacket is down. The Montane Antifreeze here has 210 grams of 750 fill power down with Montane's hyper dry variant of hydrophobic down. It has a Pertex Quantum 20 denier nylon shell versus the Pertex Endurance shell here. Pertex Endurance is a little bit more weather resistant. Pertex Quantum is a little bit lighter. This jacket, with its 210 grams of down fill, weighs 512 grams. The price new is about $270, and it is responsible down certified down as well, which is great. It has a down to weight ratio of 0.41, or 41% of the weight of this jacket is down. So it has a little bit higher of a down weight to jacket ratio, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's better. That just means that the down weighs more. The down in this jacket is 850 fill, which means 1 ounce of down fills 800 cubic centimeters. 1 ounce of down here fills 750 cubic centimeters. So the density of this down is actually higher. The weight ratio doesn't necessarily matter too much, but it's good to know. I would say that 800 fill power is really kind of the sweet spot when it comes to packability and price, but not necessarily with warmth. 800 fill power is going to give you a lighter, more packable jacket than 700 fill power, but even though the fill power is different on these, I find them very, very similar, and I actually may even prefer the Montane Antifreeze, and that's because of the fit. So I typically wear a medium size jacket. Some brands I end up wearing a large, and the Rab is definitely an example of that. As you can see with the Rab Electron here, it's pretty form-fitting, and I've found that to be the case with a lot of my Rab products. I have the Rab Xenon over here, and that's in a size large, and that fits me really, really well. I've actually found that the Rab Electron in a size medium is a little bit too tight. It's a little tight around the arms. It's definitely too tight around the waist. You know, I have to pull the hem on the jacket a little bit in order to get the zipper to go. And then it just feels really kind of tight in the chest and back area as well. Now, that's totally fine, I guess, if you like a more athletic fit. This is very passable, but I would not necessarily take this out as a technical layer being this size and cut on me. I would probably want to opt for a large size jacket here. Some things that I do really like about this jacket and that you will want to look for in parkas is adjustability, different kinds of adjustments, and different features. So one of the big features I really like is this fleece beard guard here. That's really good for protecting your chin from the kind of abrasive zippers. You also want to look for an adjustable hood. So you'll see that there's these two pull tabs here, these two elastic bits. And those are for pulling your hood tight against your head when the wind is really blowing and it's really inclement weather out. Here's the two adjustments right here. Some other features I want to look for in a parka are internal pockets. So the Rab Electron definitely has that. And you want to make sure that that pocket is on the inside of the garment as well, or on the inside of the insulation. That way the insulation is keeping the warmth in and protecting what's inside your pocket from getting too cold, like GoPro batteries, a cell phone, etc. Now, the Rab Electron did come with a stuff sack. A lot of parkas do. Most lightweight down jackets do not. But once you start getting into the parka size game, a stuff sack is a really nice feature that comes with a lot of them. And that really helps when it comes to packing down and keeping your down insulation dry and protected if you're in a wet environment. Now, with the Rab Electron here, you know, I kind of noticed something weird. The stitching for the outer hand warmer pocket interferes with the internal lining of the chest pocket, and so that actually reduces the volume of this pocket significantly. So, you know, I am able to fit my cell phone in there, but it's just, it feels like you're getting, you're snagging your hand, or you're snagging whatever is in there on it, and that just doesn't really make me feel good about it. Some other things too, you know, you want to make sure you have good hand warmer pockets. These are definitely good size. They come basically all the way up to my my sternum line here, and then pretty much go all the way down to my iliac crest, or my hip bones here. So good size hand warmer pockets to store some gloves in. That's great. Another thing I really like to look for on a parka is internal dump pockets, which the Rab Electron does not have. Now, that's okay. Not all jackets are going to have them, but that is a very important piece when it comes to looking for a jacket that's going to offer you technical prowess and ability. So this I would say is a much more casual jacket than the Montane Antifreeze. So let's get into that one. So the Montane Antifreeze, this is a badass jacket. I love this thing so much. The Pertex Quantum fabric, shell fabric, feels amazing. The fit on this jacket, this is also a medium, fits way better, much more comfortably than the Rab Electron did. I don't feel like the sleeves and the body of the jacket are squeezing me, compressing the down. When the down is compressed, you have less warming ability of that jacket. It's less effective, because what the down and what any insulation does is creates a barrier of air between you and the outside, where it's a buffer zone that your body heats that zone and creates a warm sheath of air around you. So, Montane Antifreeze. This jacket is much more technical than the Rab Electron. I would absolutely use this much more so for climbing. It really is purpose built for climbing. The hand warmer pockets are placed higher than the Rab Electron. Now, one of the big features of a good technical belay jacket or belay parka is the presence of a two-way zipper. Now, this double zipper here on the Montane Antifreeze is going to allow me to wear a harness underneath it and still be able to access my my belay device and the rope, and still be able to confidently and safely belay my partner if I'm belaying. Now, if it's really cold out, an added feature that the Montane Antifreeze does feature is a belay button, and this takes it even a step further. So you can unzip your jacket, but instead of having it flapping around and letting all your heat out, you're able to button that up to keep the hem and the waist of the jacket still tight against your body, insulating your core, but be able to have all your belay equipment and you're coming out from your harness here. So that's a really key feature for a technical belay jacket. I really like that on this jacket. Montane does a phenomenal job with thoughtful design for technical use. It's a UK brand, same with Rab, but and you know, nothing against Rab. You know, the Rab Electron isn't necessarily built to be a purpose-built belay jacket, but it is a you know, lightweight parka that helps make the comparison here. So if you're a climber or you're, you know, ice climbing perhaps, you're looking for a belay parka, not just a winter parka. You're looking for a belay parka. And any jacket that you want to add to your list for a possible buy should have a two-way zipper and as an added bonus, a belay button. I like the presence of a external chest pocket here. It does lie again underneath the down insulation, which is great. The cuffs on this versus the Rab Electron contain full insulation all the way around your wrist. So that's going to create a nice flush joining with your gloves and really just keep you warm all the way to your wrists. Now, another feature that I really appreciate on any kind of belay jacket is a dump pocket. And this Montane Antifreeze does that very, very well. It has an elastic hem on the top of the pocket, and the pocket itself is also somewhat stretchy and elastic. So this is going to be absolutely perfect for keeping a Nalgene in or dumping your extra set of gloves or over gloves in there. So any good belay parka or summit piece is going to have a dump pocket on the inside. The antifreeze also comes with a nicely emblazoned stuff sack as well from Montane. It's a pretty burly stuff sack. It's really thick. It's probably like a 40, maybe even 50 denier, just nylon sack. It does feel like it has some water resistance, so that's nice. The hood on this jacket, and really for any belay jacket, again, for any type of climbing or alpine mountaineering use, you want your hood to be compatible with a helmet. And this Montane Antifreeze does just that. The hood itself is quite adjustable. You have a one-handed adjustment up top to pull the hood tight against the back of your head, as well as a one-handed release. And then you also have adjustments here. Now, I kind of question the design on this. I like how the Rab Electron had these pulls on the outside, but when you pull on those, that tightens up the fitment around your face and closes this opening for your face in case the wind's really blowing. The releases are right here, easily accessible, but I don't like that every time you want to adjust or tighten your jacket, because it's cold and windy and blowing, you have to open it up to tighten. I don't think that's super good design, but that's really one of the only drawbacks I have about this jacket. It is nice and insulated all the way around the neck. And yeah, this is a phenomenal piece. All right, so we've talked about lightweight down jackets. We've talked about light down parkas. Let's talk about medium weight down parkas. Now, the one I want to start with is the Mont-Bell Alpine down parka. Now, on Mont-Bell's website, they rate this parka as a heavyweight down parka. Now, this jacket has 7.1 ounces of down fill in it, which puts it right in the medium weight down parka category for me. Another reason why I would consider this to be a medium weight parka is because of the fit, at least for me. This jacket is super, super ultra light for a down parka. It only weighs 16 ounces, so it weighs in right at 1 pound, and it has 200 grams or 7.1 ounces of 800 fill power X down, which is Mont-Bell's version of hydrophobic down. So when it gets wet, it's going to resist that moisture a little bit and stay lofty for longer. Wow, it is really just so super light. It feels like no other jacket on this wall here. This thing really just hugs you. And getting into the medium weight down parka and higher, there's a very critical difference between that and a light parka, and that is the baffle construction. When it comes to the Montane Antifreeze and the Rab Electron jacket, these are all stitched through design jackets, which does save weight, but it also creates cold spots in the jacket itself, because the stitching goes right through, and each place where there is stitching, that means there's no down. So that's a place that's not being insulated. These light down jackets are the same way, but those are not built for extreme cold. This Mont-Bell Alpine Down Parka is the first on the list with a full box baffle construction. This means that the stitching does not go all the way through the jacket. There are chambers of down in here that allow it to loft through and through. And that's super important when you're getting down into the negative temperatures, because every bit of warmth that you have will escape through those stitch through areas. Full box baffle construction, you won't have that down seepage. Now this is one of Mont-Bell's warmest parkas. The only one that's warmer, I think, is called the Permafrost, and that's really a heavyweight down parka. This, you know, I still would consider to be a medium weight down parka in comparison and in relation to others on this wall, like the Montane Chonos. This has over 8.8 ounces of down, and then the Mountain Hardwear Absolutezero has way more than that. The Absolutezero weighs more than 3 of these. So let's get into the specs and features. So this has a 20 denier ballistic ripstop nylon with a DWR finish. The hood is definitely built to fit with a helmet on, and it is oh so fluffy. I really, really like it. Now, up in the shoulder area and in the neck, I do feel like there is some down migration, or it doesn't feel as insulated. With the chin guard here, you have 2 pieces of nice kind of, it almost looks like Octoloft fleece. And it really forms a nice tight fit around your face. It even has some more cinches in here to pull it up all the way around your face. Now, this is really important when you're up at altitude and the wind is whipping. I really like that feature about this jacket. It goes all the way up over my nose and really protects my face. So when I'm wearing goggles or sunglasses, I get really good full protection here. So just kind of a cool feature. Most of the other jackets do it, but the Mont-Bell does it really, really well. But again, these are on the inside of the collar. I don't really like that, because that means you have to unzip your jacket in order to tighten the hood, and that just lets out a whole bunch of warmth. Because whenever you're tightening up your hood like that, it's because it's cold. Now, one of the things that I think Miss Mont-Bell could have done better is add dump pockets, internal dump pockets to this jacket. This jacket is very minimalistic. It's extremely ultra lightweight. You know, this might be one of the absolute lightest down parkas on the market. Coming in at a pound, it is very stripped down. You know, you don't have the adjustment on the back of the hood here. Well, you do, but it's Velcro. And I don't really like that as much. I like the Montane Antifreeze, how it has the mechanical pull with the pinch lock. And it also doesn't even have a chest pocket. So this parka only has 2 pockets on it, but they are very nice and fluffy. So with this parka, you have down on both sides of your hands. So there's down on the outside here, and then there's also a layer of down on the inside as well. So you do have a nice sheath of down on both sides, and I do think that is a redeeming trait. You also have a hem adjustment on this jacket, which are located right on the insides of the pockets. You can see the pinch locks there. But I don't really like this design either, because you gotta kind of pinch the pinch lock from the outside, and that's kind of the only way to really tighten it down. I would not necessarily classify this as a belay parka. I would classify this really just as a mid-weight ultralight parka for backpacking use in the wintertime, and otherwise, just when you need warmth at the lowest weight, that's really what this is for. A stripped down version of a mid-weight down parka is what the Mont-Bell Alpine down parka is. Another really good use for this type of gear is with an elephant foot sleeping system. Now, for those who aren't familiar, elephant foot sleeping systems are built primarily for cragging and sleeping on the side of a wall as, you know, multi-pitch, multi-day climber. This jacket is extremely warm. It's like wearing a sleeping bag, and you can really easily pair this with an elephant foot half length or 3/4 length sleeping bag to be the extension of that type of system. I have used this as that before, and it worked great for really cold late fall temps, etc. But again, I really prefer to have a jacket that has a little bit more pockets and definitely a dump pocket for a water bottle or my gloves. If you're looking for the absolute lightest down parka out there, go for the Mont-Bell Alpine down parka. If you need something a little bit more featured, I don't think this one's for you. Next, we're gonna get into a very, very special piece. This is another medium weight down parka that really blows my mind as far as performance and technology goes. And that is the Mountain Hardwear Nilas parka. This parka was designed in partnership with Uli Steck, who is no longer with us, but he was just an absolutely revolutionary, record-breaking alpinist, and he spent a lot of time with Mountain Hardwear helping them design the perfect jacket for high altitude alpinists and high summits. So we're gonna kind of get into this jacket here. This thing is hardcore. I am already burning up in this thing. Let's blow through the specs real quick. The Mountain Hardwear Nilas parka, this particular version is filled with 215 grams of 850 fill power RDS certified down. The shell fabric is a very unique 15 denier air shield ripstop, and it's a 2-layer as well. You know, I'm not exactly sure on the specific information on that piece, but it is burly. This is designed to be a windstopper, but it does feel very breathable as well. Other features on this jacket, you'll notice these jersey cuffs here with the thumb holes. These are really super soft, you know, kind of like a Lycra type stretch material, but they really they really trap in the heat within the arms. It's a fully box baffle construction, as one would expect for a high altitude parka. The zipper is a super heavy duty hardcore YKK waterproof zipper. You can see how it has the laminate face there. Underneath the zipper is a fairly large baffle tube filled with even more 850 fill power RDS certified down. On the inside, you have 2 massive dump pockets. These things will easily hold at least an Nalgene each, but you can definitely keep a Nalgene in one pocket and keep your summit mitts in the other. It additionally has an internal pocket in here. I'll definitely be using this for GoPro batteries and things like that. My cell phone as well. It just eats it up. There's so much room in this internal chest pocket. I really, really like that. Chest pocket's on the right side, which on most jackets I've found it to be on the left side, but that's fine, I'm a lefty anyway. There is a double zipper on this as well. Excellent, excellent for having a harness and being strapped in. There is no belay button, and I think that was a weight saving piece there, but this is not necessarily built to be a belay parka. This is built to really be a summit parka. And there is a difference. You know, belay parkas, you're meant to be standing still, looking up with your harness on and the rope coming up and out. This thing is designed to be so you can be roped in, maybe even on a rope team. I see tons and tons and tons of people using this jacket on Denali. You know, this really is purpose built for 6,000 meter peaks. Aconcagua, Denali, even Mount Vincent in Antarctica, this is a jacket that people bring with them. So on the hood, there are two really nice soft fleece chin guards here. And when I have a beard in the wintertime, that's nice. There is a hood adjustment on the back. And you can see how that pulls it really tight against my head. This hood is not going anywhere. And then all that hardware just tucks underneath this hardware garage in the back to keep that streamlined. The hood is designed to be worn with a climbing helmet. And yeah, this jacket is absolutely hardcore. Again, this one also has the face opening adjustments here along the hem of the hood. And you know, I guess it's really kind of becoming common practice for these things to be inside the hood, but I think that's kind of a design drift trend with the industry to keep them streamlined and hidden. But I really like how the Rab Electron had those on the outside. I think that just makes more sense. To release those, you have these hidden or subdued pinch lock releases underneath the fabric, and I do think that is really neat. It's cool to have that, but you know, if you don't know that's there, you don't know that's there. All right, I'm getting way too hot in this thing. I think that the Mountain Hardwear Nilas is the absolute pinnacle of a mid-weight, high alpine down parka. You have your box baffle construction, you have a heavy-duty waterproofed zipper, you have this bomb-proof shell material that's going to really resist water and moisture and snow. And then you have these two huge internal dump pockets, as well as an internal chest pocket. So this thing is my favorite piece of gear, hands down. It's a beautiful piece. And you know, you can really almost, you know, I think the Patagonia Fitzroy, the old one, is really in this category as well. But you know, no other jacket has this kind of bomb-proof face fabric. I've never seen this on anything else. So it's super abrasion resistant, very, very wind and water resistant, and this is designed to keep you alive at the top of Denali. So let's talk about heavyweight down parkas. The Mountain Hardwear Trango, I think, fits the bill as the most economical heavyweight down parka on the market. This thing is really, really durable. It has an amazingly strong, burly 40 denier face fabric. Let's try it on. So the Mountain Equipment Trango has 269 grams of pure down 700 fill insulation. The jacket itself weighs 730 grams or 25.7 ounces. Its down weight ratio is 0.37, or 37% of this jacket's weight is in its insulation. The rest is in its face fabric and zippers and hardware. So this jacket is one of the most fully featured out there. It has a really durable, burly, winter resistant plastic zipper here, as well as two external chest pockets. Now, one downside with these chest pockets is they're on the outside of the insulation, so trying to keep anything warm in these pockets while you're going is not really going to work. But I would say that keeping things in here like a map or something like that would not be a bad call. To keep things warm, you do have this internal chest pocket, which will easily fit my cell phone. Not super comfortably, you know, I wish this pocket was a little bit deeper, but it is pretty sizable. It does go down pretty far and it comes up pretty far, so you can store things of pretty good size in there. Dump pockets. The Trango's got them. Now, they're not as big as the Nilas. They're placed a little bit lower, but absolutely capable of holding an Nalgene and keeping your water from freezing and keeping a pair of gloves in there. So really, really like that. The Mountain Hardwear Trango is really built to be a do-it-all cold weather jacket. It has a dual zipper that functions really, really well. Super, super smooth. You know, I'm operating this with one hand. And it does have a belay button. So the presence of this belay button is going to make this an excellent option for ice climbing and things like that when you need to be minding your partner and having your belay device and everything else coming out from your harness here. The hood itself, there are no beard guards, which that's okay, that's a luxury item. And that's one of the things that they left off to be a little bit more cost saving on this jacket. Adjustments. On the back, you do have a Velcro adjustment, which I'm not super fond of, but it is redeemed by having the face adjustments located on the outside of the jacket here, which I really think that makes a lot of sense. The pinch releases are also, just like the Nilas, located on the inside of the fabric here to kind of keep those out of the way. So overall, I think the Mountain Hardwear Trango, and also the cuffs right here, you know, I'm not a huge fan of Velcro. Velcro will wear out, but you know, it is cost saving, and it does make this very, very adjustable, which I am a fan of. So, and you know, Velcro technology has gotten really good over the years. So, you know, I don't see these wearing out anytime soon, but you know, I'd rather have something that is more designed, more form-fitting than a Velcro cuff. You do have some elastic here, but you know, that's that. The 40 denier face fabric is going to be really, really wind resistant, really abrasion resistant, and very, very water resistant as well. So with the weight of this parka, you know, I mentioned that it has 269 grams of down insulation, or 9.5 ounces of 700 fill power down. Now, that would technically kind of put it in the heavyweight parka category, and you know, I'd say that it's definitely built and designed to be that way. Now, the 700 fill power down, if that was 800 fill power with the same 269 grams fill weight, you know, that would really put it up there as a heavyweight parka. This kind of would teeter between medium and heavyweight, but you know, with the burliness of this, I'd say this can absolutely get away as a heavyweight parka. So now let's get into one of my favorite heavyweight parkas, the Montane Chonos. The Montane Chonos is a sadly discontinued heavyweight parka from Montane, a UK-based brand that makes some of the best mountain equipment in the world. This jacket weighs 650 grams or 23 ounces, and it has a whopping 250 grams of 800 fill power down. Certified, not live plucked. It's not RDS certified, but it is responsibly sourced down. And this thing is absolutely purpose-built for keeping you warm. So the Montane Chonos is your quintessential heavyweight belay parka. This thing is built for belaying. Here's why. Looking at the zipper here, you have a really nice reinforced zipper guard here. A nice thick pull tab loop, not just a pinch tab, but a loop. And you also have a double zipper with a belay button. So again, if your main focus is getting a warm piece of insulation that's going to keep you warm when you're belaying your partner, no matter what, the Montane Chonos, or the more modern version, the Montane Resolute, is your go-to. And that's because you have all of the features you need to stay warm while belaying. Most particularly this double zipper with the belay button to allow you to use your harness and belay device free of interference, while also keeping your insulation all the way down past your hips without having it flapping around in the wind. This jacket is a wearable sleeping bag. It has a 20 denier Pertex Quantum shell, which allows great breathability, but it's also, you know, pretty durable, and it's going to really just keep that down inside and keep all that warmth inside while allowing heat and moisture transfer to move through this jacket in a very smart way. Talking about the hood here, you have a nice fleece zipper chin guard here, beard guard. And what I like about this jacket a lot is you do have room in here. There is some space for your head to be able to maneuver. It doesn't feel like you're getting squeezed inside the hood. The brim of this hood is wire reinforced, so that helps with just keeping the shape of it and keeping it nicely draped around your head. The hood is helmet compatible, although it is somewhat tight. There is a lot of, in the front, there is a lot of depth in the rear for a helmet. I'm getting really hot here. The cuffs are a nice elastic, which I really enjoy. And the down is, you know, it's just a big fat tube of warmth all the way to the end. You know, this thing is so super puffy and so super warm. I really, really enjoy it. The zippers for the hand warmer pockets are also feature that pull tab loop. And when you put your hands in, you can really feel there is a very thin layer of insulation between your hand and the actual inside of the jacket, but then there is just this huge plume of down outside of it, so anything that's going in there is staying warm. On the inside, unfortunately, and I do think this was a slight oversight on Montane's part, but given how warm this jacket is to how light it is, you know, I see it as a weight saving strategy to not put any dump pockets or even an internal chest pocket on this jacket. And so that is a pretty big miss in my book. With a belay parka, I want something that's going to give me access to the things that I need without having to unzip and take my stuff off to get to it. So I really would like to see dump pockets on this jacket. I'm not quite sure if the Montane Resolute has done that, but you know, I do think that's a really important thing there. So looking at hood adjustments, there is a Velcro hood adjustment in the back, which isn't my favorite, but it is what it is. And then this jacket does have the hood adjustments on the inside, like so, keeping your face really nice and protected. The cinch releases are external and exposed. And yeah, you know, this jacket, what I love about it is it's incredibly soft, it's incredibly lightweight, and it's extremely lofty. I think this is probably the loftiest of the jackets that I own that you see behind me here. What I don't like about this jacket is the lack of features. I really wish it had an internal chest pocket, and I really wish it had internal dump pockets. The hand warmer pockets are great, and this jacket does also come with a stuff sack, much like the Montane Antifreeze. So that's a nice feature. But in all honesty, I don't really use a stuff sack too often with my jackets, and that's because down and, you know, using down pieces in your pack to fill the empty spaces is what really makes packing a pack efficient, is making sure there's no dead space in the bag. And that's what I use my insulating pieces for. So, you know, unless I'm transporting this jacket somewhere, I probably won't use that stuff sack. But this is an excellent example of a heavyweight down parka. I just wish it had the dump pockets and an internal pocket. That would make it absolutely perfect. Other than that, it is incredibly warm. The loft on the shoulders and the loft, especially around the neck, are superb. Looking at this, there is enormous full box baffle construction throughout the whole jacket, but especially in the neck here. This is the fluffiest, warmest neck out of any of the jackets. The Mountain Hardwear Nilas actually falls short on that metric a little bit, but not terribly. This is definitely going to keep me warmer than just about anything up here except for the absolutezero. All right, so now for the big one, the Mountain Hardwear absolutezero 8,000 meter parka. This is arguably the warmest jacket on the planet. This thing is designed to keep you alive and warm at the highest places on Earth and the coldest poles on the planet. A lot of you probably spent time looking at this online. There is a newer version out now, but this one is actually lighter weight. It is not necessarily the Pertex version by any means, but this is a Mountain Hardwear absolutezero parka. So let's quickly run through the specs of this jacket. This jacket weighs 2 pounds, 13 ounces. That's almost 48 ounces. Almost 3 pounds for this jacket, which is really heavy. This is this is not an ultralight jacket like the Mountain Hardwear Nilas or anything like that. But this thing is there's no compromise when it comes to a jacket like this for Mount Everest or for taking to Antarctica or what have you. A lot of people will use this on Denali as well. You know, any place that's getting 40 below, 30 below, or colder than that, and you're gonna want a piece like this. This jacket has 526 grams of down, as opposed to the Mountain Hardwear Nilas that has 215 grams. The absolutezero has over twice the amount of down insulation that the Nilas has. People still take the Nilas to the top of Denali, but that's in kind of the spring and summer months, May, June. And that's a 6,000 meter peak. Now, Denali is technically, you know, people call it the coldest mountain on the planet. You know, it'll get down to -60 and below during the winter time. But, you know, the Nilas is really for Denali in the warm climbing months. The Mountain Hardwear absolutezero, this is as big as it gets. This is what you see on, you know, 14 Peaks and all the Everest expeditions. This is probably the most common jacket that you'll see. Other jackets like this from other brands like the Marmot 8000 parka or the Feathered Friends Kumbu or the Icefall, the Rab Expedition 8000. You know, that this is the high heavy caliber jacket. So let's stop gabbing away and let's put it on and talk about the features. So first off, it is a process to get this thing on. You have a lot of gates to get through to get it on. You know, I'm not necessarily a huge fan of the Velcro, but again, you know, that's really to keep all the winter and weather out. This thing is so big. Now, I wear a medium. This is a size medium, and you will see that it is absolutely massive. It goes down to my mid thighs, almost to my knees, and with good reason. You know, when you get to a certain temperature and when you get to certain weather conditions, you need beyond full coverage, and this jacket is meant to be worn over multiple other layers as well, and I'm going to show that later in this video as well. But let's just talk about the features of this heavy duty jacket. So to start, the zipper has and you know, I wouldn't even call this a heavyweight parka. I'd call this an expedition level parka. So there's a baffle that goes over the zipper and it's Velcro secured. So that's really to prevent any spin drift, anything from coming in and getting in and compromising that zipper. Now, even on the inside of the zipper, you still have this this baffle here that is filled with down. So there is an insulated baffle here, and that's to create even more of a barrier. You know, zippers are where you lose the most heat, and so this large insulated baffle really helps with that. There's also zipper guards on both sides. When you're using this with heavy duty gloves, your fine motor skills, especially when it's cold, are not functioning very well or very normally like you're used to. So you want big, kind of bulky items to be able to grab and manipulate easily without having the compromise of limited motor skills. So you'll see that this jacket, this parka has a big, huge collar, and then it has a separate hood. This hood is so big and thick. This is literally like wearing a 0-degree sleeping bag. And then on top of that, you even have this additional Velcro coverall here. So this is what the jacket looks like fully donned. And this is what people will most often be, how people will be using it going up an 8,000 meter peak. It's too hot. It's too hot to be wearing inside. The hood adjustment in the back is there to pull this tight against your head. When you're up on a big mountain, you have wind blowing everywhere, and you need that to be able to be secured there. It is able to be done with one hand, but it is kind of tricky. On the outside, you have two huge waterproofed taped pockets, and these are sandwiched between two big pieces of insulation, and that's going to really help keep anything that you put in there warm. When it's -30, -40, -50, everything freezes. So you need to use your body heat. Your body's the warmest thing in that environment, and so you need to be efficient. Every BTU of heat that your body is putting out is a calorie burned, and so you need to be efficient with every piece of everything that you have with you, including your body and your insulation. So having these external pockets be insulated is really important, because you don't want to be opening this jacket to be putting stuff inside while you're moving. There are two huge hand warmer pockets as well. These are able to be used with large gloves on. It also comes with this super burly, super not ultralight stuff sack as well. Mountain Hardwear. And this is to protect your stuff. But it's massive. This is like a 10 or 15 liter bag. And that's how big this jacket is. It needs a 10 or 15 liter stuff sack to be able to stow it. On the sleeves, you have these highly reinforced, I'm not sure if it's Cordura or what have you, but it's a very, very reinforced section for protecting you from anything sharp, anything abrasive. You're doing a lot of rope work out here all the time, moving carabiners, using ice picks, etc. So you need some protection here, and this is actually also added moisture protection as well, because when snow does land on you, it will eventually melt and freeze, and you want to keep that on the outside. On the inside, you do have two dump pockets. Now, compared to the Nilas and other jackets, these dump pockets are surprisingly small. I really think it's just built for a water bottle. I just think it's a little bit surprising that a jacket this big has dump pockets that are this small. So, you also have some hem adjustments down at the bottom here. Pretty standard with most jackets, but just thought I'd point that out. And you also have the jersey cuffs, very similar to what the Nilas has as well. And these are going to be crucial for really creating a solid seam, or a seamless transition from your gloves to your sleeves, and vice versa. On this jacket, you also have these tabs here as well. These are for attaching the daisy chains or the lanyards or the leashes for your gloves. So you can take your gloves off, your big over mitts off, and let them hang, and use your hands with your kind of more dexterous glove liners or what have you for fine motor stuff, and then you can just throw them back on. So these little glove attachments are very nice and helpful. So that's the absolutezero parka. This thing retails for $900. It's not cheap. I definitely did not pay that for this jacket. But for the purpose of reviews and trying to help everybody understand the different levels of parkas and jackets that you might have, and for future use in cold and austere environments, that's why I bought this. I'll do one more look at it. Again, I'm 5'7", 175 pounds. I have a 40-inch chest, a 32-inch waist, 22 inches pit to pit, 32-inch arms. This is a size medium, and this expedition parka goes down almost to my knees. And this is to be worn in conjunction with a set of down puffer pants. Mountain Hardwear does make the absolutezero corresponding pants. I actually happen to have the Nilas bibs, which are very, very similar, but have the same material as the 15 denier air shield as the Nilas, and they're just about as puffy, so very similar application, not quite as burly though. All right, so now I want to get into and talk a little bit about synthetic insulation pieces. And I'm going to start with the Rab Xenon here. This is one of my favorite pieces of synthetic insulation. I already did a review on this. You can check it in the links below. But this is an example of a ultralight synthetic insulation puffy jacket. And this jacket really is, this is an outermost synthetic layer. A lot of synthetic layers are built as mid layers, but again, this is made by Rab. It's the Rab Xenon, and Rab equipment items usually fit me a little bit different. They tend to run really small because they're a British company, and so I have a large. I usually wear a medium size in just about everything, but with Rab and a lot of UK stuff and a lot of Japanese stuff like the Mont-Bell, I will wear large. So the Rab Xenon weighs just about, its claimed weight is 12 ounces, and I think mine actually weighs in at like just over 11 ounces, so comes in a little bit better than what it's advertised as. Big, huge pockets. Amazing. This is called the Atmos, which is like a 10 or 15 denier ripstop nylon, very similar to Pertex, but they call it Atmos as their proprietary face fabric. Really amazing, super light, incredibly wind and water resistant, not very breathable. But you know, for such a light piece of gear, having that barrier really adds to the insulation value of the piece. This is not going to be necessarily an active layer unless the wind is really whipping, but this is a really good do-it-all outer layer for keeping you warm. I wore this up on Mount Washington over a fleece, and I was super happy with it. It has, being a large, it is a little bit roomy and baggy, so I like having the waist adjustments here, the hem adjustments, so I can, you know, it's not moving on me. And these ones work really, really well. I really like these. Great hand pockets. It does have an internal pocket that is actually on the outside of the insulation, so I'm not super crazy about that, but it's just kind of the way it is on this piece. And this does stuff into its own pocket. It has this tab for, you know, kind of leashing onto things if it's stuffed in its pocket as for storage or transportation. Good zipper, great hood, non-adjustable hood, but it has nice, really good elastic here. It does have a beard guard, little fleece there, and yeah, for me, this is kind of the pinnacle of a lightweight synthetic jacket. Another example would be the Enlighten Equipment Torrid Apex synthetic puffy jacket, which you know, the biggest benefit of a synthetic jacket is it keeps you warm when you're wet or when it's wet. So you know, I really like this during kind of shoulder season when snow is melting, or you have those cold rains, or it's, you know, foggy and misty out, and this thing is not going to absorb water like down will, even hydrophobic down. This is just going to be a little bit more versatile, a little more bomb-proof. Not quite as packable, but the Rab Xenon is extremely packable. So that's a really good example of a lightweight synthetic insulation jacket. Another example would be the Patagonia DAS or DAS Light Parka, which is the perfect segue into the next phase of our synthetic insulation belay jackets, and that is the Patagonia DAS Parka. DAS stands for dead airspace, and they've been iterating this line of jackets since, like, I think 1992 or something like that was the first dead airspace synthetic jacket that came out, and they put this one to bed for a little while, and I think either in 2019 or maybe it was even 2020 or 21, they relaunched it as a redesigned, reimagined piece, and it is beautiful. This is a 19.6 ounce synthetic belay jacket. It's incredibly light. A sub 20 ounce belay jacket is stellar, especially with synthetic insulation. So I'm 5'7", I weigh 175 pounds. I have a 40-inch chest, a 32-inch waist, 22 inches pit to pit, 32-inch arms. And this medium fits me very, very well. As you can see, it goes down just about to my upper thighs. Arm length is really, really nice. You know, reaching out as far as I can ahead of me. You know, there's very little lift in the sleeves. The hood is meticulously designed to really cover and give you kind of a bubble of space around your face, which, you know, this area right in front of you does, you know, even if there's not insulation directly covering it, does trap a little bit of heat, and there is a little bit of heat and airflow transfer here, and that does help keep your face warm to a degree. So this is, I'm very, very excited for this piece. Going into this a little bit more, the face fabric is actually really, really thin. It's a 10 denier Pertex endurance material with a DWR coating. And it is, from everything that I've heard and read, it is very durable for a 10 denier. Also extremely light for any kind of face fabric on a parka. 10 denier is very, very thin, very, very soft and smooth, and it's very water resistant. Pertex Endurance is meant to be that water resistant face fabric. The insulation on this jacket is a Primaloft Gold Eco, and meaning it is, it's all recycled, which is fantastic. Patagonia is really trying to make good on being responsible in the way it sources and creates its products, and kind of represents the nature of exploring nature. And anyway, the insulation, it's 133 gram per square meter Primaloft Gold Eco, and then it has an additional 40 grams of insulation in various areas where that extra insulation is really needed. I think that's around in the chest here. I'm not exactly sure what parts of the jacket, but let's talk about the features a little bit more. So right off the bat, you see this very, very prominent zipper on the front. It is a double zipper. This is a belay parka. This is a synthetic belay parka. Now, it did forego the belay button, and I'm sure that was a weight-saving strategy. Not always necessary. It is nice to have. Because if it's blowing, if it's a windy day, you know, you can be losing quite a bit of heat out the bottom here, or getting cold drafts up in there when you're belaying. But the double zipper really does make it nice for being able to reach and access the things that are most important when you're on belay, and that's your belay device and the rope. Next, we have a nice pocket here in the chest. This is a really good size front pocket. I'm really happy with the size of this. It does fit a phone. It's a little snug getting the phone in, but you know, it works. You gotta kind of be strategic or be meticulous in how you place it in and remove it. See, getting snagged in the pop socket. And it also comes with a nice Pertex Endurance stuff sack here. It's actually a pretty good sized stuff sack. And just to look at the kind of the breathability of this fabric, this is actually a really good example. So it's full of air, but when I push it, I can feel that the air escapes very evenly throughout the whole bag. You know, it's not being shoved out the front, but that really shows the breathability of this material. And even standing here, you know, this is Patagonia's warmest synthetic jacket, and I'm warm, but I'm not hot. I don't feel like I'm sweating, and that's really, really nice. People were, you know, this jacket's made for really, really cold temperatures, but it's actually great for a very wide range of temperatures. And synthetic insulation does a really good job at moving heat and moisture. You know, the heat from my body pushes outward, and our bodies are always perspirating or perspiring, but synthetic insulation is very, very efficient at moving and kind of trying to reach a state of homeostasis or equilibrium. Going into the jacket, there is no internal chest pocket, but that's okay. We do have 2 dump pockets, and they are also made of the Tendoneer Pertex Endurance. And I'm sure that was done for multiple reasons. You know, I do see a lot of mesh pockets, but the mesh is a little bit heavier than the Pertex Endurance. Also, through economies of scale, I'm sure Patagonia was able to make this a little bit more cost effective by just going with the same material. There is a nice elastic band for the dump pocket, and it is a really good size pouch there. You know, definitely able to fit a Nalgene, definitely able to fit a nice big pair of gloves or over mitts. Let's talk about the hood. So this hood feels really, really great. It feels really secure. It does feel a little bit claustrophobic or a little bit tight on my head. You know, I do have to battle it a little bit. Some jackets I'm able to take the hood on and off without the zipper being undone, but with this jacket I need to take the zipper off. And then you'll also notice that there is an elastic cuff on the inside that really latches on to whatever's on your head. And for, you know, if you're wearing a helmet, that's great. That's gonna really lock this hood in and keep it steady and keep it tight. In the back, there is this little hardware garage under here that houses this hidden single hand pull that uses an elastic to really cinch the hood to your head. And that's great, especially when it's blowing or you really need that dexterity to be looking up while you're on belay. And then it is a built-in pinch release, and this pinch release does a really good job at fully releasing this whole elastic here. Some of them don't release it all the way on other garments, but that one does a really good job of it. There are no other adjustments on the hood except for that one on the back, and I think that's fine. The elastic here does a really good job at really keeping this tight and close to your head. Let's talk about the cuffs here. On the inside, you have these very well hidden, I actually had trouble finding them, thumb holes here for locking in your thumbs and keeping these sleeves fully around your wrists. And I'm not always a huge fan. I do like some thumb cuffs, but these particular ones on the DAS Parka, they feel a little bit tight. They are elastic, but they are very, very good at remaining discreet and just disappearing into the line of the natural cuff inside the jacket. It is kind of a cuffless cuff design. The insulation does overlap over and is the farthest extent of the sleeve instead of there being an elastic cuff there. There is, however, an elastic cuff about maybe a ½ an inch, like a 1 finger segment deep inside the cuff. So the big point, the big takeaway with this jacket is this is really an ultralight, mid-weight, synthetic belay parka, but it is ultralight for a mid-weight belay parka. It's mid-weight in that you are able to layer underneath this. and I'll show that in a little bit later in the video. As opposed to like the Rab Xenon, you know, you can layer a fleece under that, but you can't layer a mid layer underneath it necessarily. And this is going to keep you really, really warm when it's cold. You know, I'd say probably down to about 0 degrees standing still will be the kind of the real limit for this type of jacket. All right, so now let's get into the heavyweight synthetic insulation pieces. These are two synthetic insulation parkas that share a lot of the same DNA. This is the Black Diamond Belay Parka, and this is the Army ECWCS Level 7 Synthetic Puffy Parka. And I'm going to talk about the Black Diamond Belay Parka first, because it's a little bit lighter than the Level 7 here. So the Black Diamond Belay Parka, as soon as I pick this up, a number of things go through my mind. Number one is just, wow, this thing's awesome. It looks so good. And it feels incredibly sturdy. I know that when I put this on, I'm not going to get cold. And I'm going to look really damn good. And I'm going to be able to do what I need to do. Another thing I think of is, wow, this thing is heavy. This thing is bulky. You know, it's not quite as bulky as the absolutezero over there. But it's a big, bulky jacket. This is by no means going to be getting shoved into a long-distance expedition pack and being taken with me. I'm going to pick something much lighter than this, or much more packable than this. So immediately when I put on this parka, I feel like I'm getting hugged. It is so comfortable. The distribution of this jacket is so great. The sleeves are a little long, but the added weight of the synthetic insulation and this burly 50 denier ripstop woven face fabric is really, you know, this is a bomb-proof piece of equipment here, and I'm really impressed with it. It fits a certain market, and doesn't quite fit my use case. But let's talk about the details and features a little bit. So right off the bat, you have a really burly metal zipper here, which you know, I don't think this thing's gonna break. You will see some wear on it along, you know, where the paint comes off from movement on there, but you know, that's all good. The chest pocket zipper here has a slightly different lining here that's got a little bit more of a waterproofing sheath around it as opposed to this main zipper. The main zipper does have a baffle behind it, but it's actually not super insulated. You know, there may be a little bit of insulation there, but not a ton. That's really just going to prevent air transfer in there. But this chest pocket is definitely nice and big. It's going to, you know, it goes really, really deep, both up and down and way out to my armpit, really. You know, I can basically touch my armpit in the zip in the pocket there. And there is a layer of synthetic insulation there. This is Black Diamond's Thermolite HL Eco Made synthetic insulation, and it's 200 grams per square meter heavyweight. The Patagonia DAS Parka has 133 grams per square meter insulation. The Black Diamond Belay Parka has 200 grams per square meter insulation. So it's much thicker, much heavier insulation, and this is going to be a warmer jacket for sure. I'm already burning up in this. So let's talk about the hand warmer pockets. They do have a nice fleece lining on the outside of the pocket, and then on the inside there is a nice soft kind of nylon taffeta, or maybe it's polyester, but it feels like a nylon taffeta, just very silky smooth lining. And these pockets are really, really big. You know, I'm gonna really be able to just slide gloves into these pretty easily, and you know, whatever you need to put in there, particularly your hands. You know, you have plenty of room in there for that. The zippers are a little bit difficult to function, I've found, but nothing, you know, nothing damning. I just have a tag on this. But another piece about this jacket, and you know, Black Diamond's very deliberate and very smart, very thoughtful on how they design their equipment. This is the Black Diamond Belay Parka. That's why you have a two-way zipper and a belay button on this jacket. This jacket is purpose-built. You know, Black Diamond is known as a climbing company. They are there to help you go up and come down safely and do it comfortably. They're very good at that. And you know, this Black Diamond Belay Parka is no exception to that. I think it really fits the bill, you know, especially when you are trekking out to some ice routes or things like that, and you don't have a very long approach, you know, maybe a mile or two. This is not built for long distance trekking and expeditions in the wintertime. This is built for getting to your climbing spot, roping up, and getting going. You know, the weight of this jacket, I think this jacket weighs 845 grams. That's 29.8 ounces. So this is almost a 30-ounce jacket. It weighs almost 2 pounds. So it is pretty heavy, and it is very bulky as well. And I'll do a pack test with it a little bit later on, but you know, this is really not something that you're gonna wanna be lugging around for long distances for multiple days at a time. This is for getting to the route, getting the rope set up, getting your crampons on, getting your belay device on, and standing there in the cold. That's what this is for. And it does it very, very well. Looking at the hood, there's an incredible amount of loft in this hood. I think it's probably the second or third loftiest hood in the bunch here behind me. The absolutezero definitely is a little bit loftier, but I think this even beats out the Chonos in terms of loftiness in the hood. And again, I have no doubt, I can't even keep this on right now. It's just too hot. This thing is incredibly warm. This jacket does retail for $300. You can find deals on it at other places, but it's a $300 jacket. Very, very affordable in comparison to the Mountain Hardwear Nilas, which retails for $550, or you know, the Patagonia DAS Parka that retails for $450. You know, those are expensive pieces of equipment. This is a very economical option for you for a very effective piece of gear. So now let's move on and let's talk about the Army Equix Level 7 Primaloft Parka. I wear a medium in both of these and they both fit me really well. So the Army Equix Level 7 Primaloft Parka is what they issue for Arctic and mountain warfare troops. I was issued this when I was in the Vermont Guard. I ended up returning my other one, but I bought this again because I wanted a cheap, affordable option that was going to be durable and effective in any type of condition. You know, they wear this up in the Arctic with you know, with a proper layering system. So right off the bat, this thing it's really comfortable. This was my saving grace on really, really cold winter annual trainings and things like that. And you know, this thing is built to be layered underneath. This is meant to be the outermost layer in a 7-layer system. Meant to have a fleece, your soft shells, your waffle top, and your polypro layers underneath. And this thing is built for and used in the Arctic and really any other super cold environments. But it is, you know, given that it's a synthetic jacket, you know, this was the Army's answer to finding a more durable, more water resistant, more versatile, heavy insulation option to a down insulation product. And I'd say they did a really good job with it. And one of the best things about this jacket is you can get it at a very affordable price. I think I paid like $150 for this when I rebought it online. I think I got it off eBay or something like that. So let's get into the specs on this jacket. You have a burly, you know, probably 30 or 40 denier, maybe even 50 denier nylon shell, you know, nothing super technical, just durable. You know, it's a military garment. And then you have like a 70 denier patch on these high abrasion areas. The corresponding pants have the same abrasion resistant fabric on the knees. And the insulation in this jacket is Primaloft Sport. So, you know, there's Primaloft Sport, there's Primaloft Silver, there's Primaloft Gold, and then there's a whole bunch of other variations. I think Primaloft Sport's kind of an older iteration of it, but it's an Army issued piece of gear, so it's not going to get changed very often. It's just effective. And it has Velcro, cuff adjustments, On the inside, you do have these absolutely ginormous dump pockets. Like, you could fit a baby in here, I think, literally. They're so big. And there's two of them. There's not really anything more I need to say about it. They're ginormous. There's no chest pockets or anything like that. You just have two big hand warmer pockets and two big dump pockets, and that's it. So let's talk about the zipper a little bit. Really burly plastic zipper, reinforced zipper guard or baffle back here. It's not insulated or anything, but it's really just to keep the wind out. And then it is a double zipper here. So in the Army, mountain units, you do get trained on mountain skills and things like that, and you will wear a harness at some point. So it is designed for that. It also really helps when you gotta pee. So there's that piece as well. There are hem adjustments. The pulls are located inside the pockets there. Helps kind of keep them subdued and not getting snagged on things. It's kind of a tactical thing, and very effective. And just your typical pinch lock release in there. You kind of have to fidget with it a little bit in order to get it undone, but that's where that's at right there. Talking about the hood, you have a separate collar in here, and then the hood's kind of built around the outside in a similar way, and that's so that this hood can be stowed. It is a stowable hood, and it will pack down and stow away. But pretty simple hood design, nothing too crazy. Velcro adjustment back here to keep it out of your face, or if you're built to be worn with an Army Kevlar helmet with nods on, night vision devices on there, and you do have these tabs here. So to kind of summarize, the synthetic insulation pieces are going to be the most economical on your wallet, as well as kind of the most versatile in terms of conditions. They will work very well in wet weather. If you're on the crag or at the bottom of an ice route and there's water dripping and things like that, these are not going to be as affected as the down layers will be from water. Now, they are heavier and far less packable than down options. They are much cheaper and more durable, so there is always that trade-off. I originally bought the ECWCS Level 7 because I wanted something that was going to be very affordable, and then I got kind of obsessed with puffy jackets, so here we are now. You're welcome, I guess. I don't know, but it's helped me kind of learn the design and engineering that goes into pieces like this. Again, synthetic insulation, much more weather resistant, going to be cheaper, with the exception of the Patagonia DAS Parka. This thing is a highly engineered, very thoughtfully designed piece of gear, and it's extremely warm at a sub 20 ounce weight. Both of these weigh over 2 pounds, and this weighs just over 1 pound. So, there is a big difference there. These are going to be warmer than this to a slight degree, but this is really the pinnacle of synthetic insulation right here, is the Patagonia DAS Parka. All right, so let's talk about layering here. I'm going to run through this really quick. I'm wearing a Patagonia Nano Air, which is really kind of the pinnacle of a super breathable, active synthetic insulating layer, meant to be used while you're moving and also meant to be layered over. It's very, very similar to my Big Agnes Porcupine here, which it's just another really lightweight synthetic layer meant for layering on. But people know the Nano Air a little bit better than the Porcupine, so that's why I'm using this. But it is a little bit lighter than this llbean Stretch Packaway mid layer, which is pretty identical to the Arc'teryx Atom LT. This is what I'm going to be wearing for the layering test here. So layering with the Rab Xenon, I ordered a large. because the medium was a little too small for me. The large is a little bit big and baggy, but that makes it really, really perfect for layering with. So this is actually a super versatile option for, you know, if you don't want to bring a super heavy parka and you want to kind of go fast and light, you know, you have a mid layer here, and then you also have the Rab Xenon, which provides you with that wind and weather protection as well. And here you go. So this is actually a very common setup that I use on Mount Washington, because I have the double layer of insulation, but I'm not having to lug around a huge parka. And you know, it all depends. You know, this is for spring skiing and stuff like that, when it gets cold in the evenings and I'm not moving around. You know, I have my active mid layer that I'm going to be wearing a lot, but then just layering this up over that, you know, I'm burning up just as much as I was wearing the DAS Parka, or, you know, the Alpine downparka here from Mont-Bell. So this is a really good option. The Rab Xenon also, if I didn't mention, has the double zipper as well. All right, let's try layering with the Mountain Hardwear Phantom Down Hooded Jacket. All right, so right off the bat, I do feel a little bit constricted, and you can see in the sleeves that the down is being compressed in here. So a lightweight down jacket really is not the best for layering. You know, if I had a light fleece like a Patagonia R1 or a Melanzana or a Mountain Hardwear Air Mesh, that would go perfect underneath this. But I think a synthetic mid layer or an active layer underneath is a little bit too much for a light down jacket like this. So getting into the layering with light down parkas. So again, a light down parka, you know, can really also be considered a heavyweight down jacket, because it's not necessarily meant to be layered with. Yeah, I think maybe a large Electron would work better, but you know, this just feels tight. I can feel the down compressing all through the backs of my shoulders and shoulder blades, all in my arms. Like, I'm feeling squeezed in this thing. You know, I probably look like the Michelin Man, or you know, like I'm getting squeezed with cheese wire here. And that's just because there's not enough space. It's a very trim cut, but the size medium also does not fit as well. So, you know, for my typical size, the lightweight parka is not very conducive to layering. And, you know, if I was wearing a Mountain Hardwear Air Mesh or just a base layer, you know, this would fit a lot better and maybe be a little bit layerable if, you know, I'm actively touring or something like that, and this is just what I'm going to throw on. So let's see how the Montane Antifreeze does with layering on the Patagonia Nano Air. Yeah, so I mean, this feels okay. You know, the Montane Antifreeze has a really nice roomy cut to it without being baggy, but it still is this is why I would consider it to be a lightweight parka or a heavy jacket and not a medium weight parka, despite it having 210 grams of down insulation. It only has 5 grams of insulation less than the Nilas. Granted, it is 700 fill power instead of the 850 fill power on the Nilas, so that does affect the warmth and loft, but it is kind of in that 7-ounce range, but I still wouldn't consider it a medium weight parka. I would call this a lightweight parka because of its layering ability and just the overall, you know, it also has a sewn through baffle design as well. So, you know, a very light fleece or a sun hoodie, or, you know, your base layer is really all I would say can fit underneath the lightweight parkas here. All right, let's get into layering with a midweight down parka. So this Mont-Bell's a Japanese company, and their sizes tend to run really, really small. So this is a size large, and it fits very similarly to the way that Rab products fit me. But you know, I've actually even found that the torso is a little bit short and small, but the large size does have the girth to be able to layer underneath, and that's critical with a midweight style down parka. this is what we're looking at here. It fits really nicely everywhere except the length. I wish the length was a little bit longer. It doesn't quite cover my butt. But in the sleeves and in the chest and back area, there's no compression. Everything feels very, very natural. I don't even feel like I have it on. And you know, Mont-Bell just makes a fantastic product. It has a super lightweight ripstop nylon shell, and that just really lends to the comfort of it. All right, so now that we're moving up in weight on our down parkas, I want to throw on a slightly heavier active mid layer. This is the llbean Primaloft Stretch active mid layer. This is, I would say, very, very equivalent to an Arc'teryx Atom LT as far as weight, insulation properties, face fabric, stretch and breathability, etc. So if you have an Arc'teryx Atom LT, this is going to be very, very similar in comparison. And this is probably something that I would bring. You know, I usually wear this layer as my insulating layer when I'm going skiing at the resort. But you know, maybe for a day or for when I go to Denali or something like that, this will be what I bring over the Nano Air, but a lot of people like to bring the Nano Air. All right, so with the Mountain Hardwear Nilas parka and the llbean Stretch Packaway Primaloft mid layer, this is about as layered up as I will get with the Nilas parka. You know, I may be able to squeeze an air mesh underneath as well, but this is about as full as I feel like I could take it without starting to feel compressed or constricted in this setup. So the Mountain Hardwear Nilas jacket parka is absolutely designed for robust layering, but I wouldn't necessarily take it any farther than this. All right, let's try out the layering with the Montane Chonos here. This is a, Montane is also a UK brand. This is a size large, and I got a large specifically to be able to layer with. All right, so right off the bat, you know, this is an extremely puffy jacket, but I do feel like there is some constriction here. The sleeve, the internal sleeves are a little bit tighter than on the Nilas here. So that's why I am starting to feel a little bit of congestion here. So maybe I'm gonna just try to switch over to the Nano Air again and see how that works. And this is a big part about dialing in your kit, is finding what fits you and then how your layering system works for you. All right, so big points to the Nano Air because this thing feels much, much better. It is a much slimmer fitting mid layer, and it really shows through in the layering capabilities. I do feel less constriction overall with the Nano Air underneath the Chonos here. And you know, this is definitely something that I would take ice climbing or something like that because of the way it fits and the design of this jacket on the outside. This is a match made in heaven right here. I will say that the Chonos sleeves do feel a little bit more constricted still than the Nilas. The Nilas is just, it's almost a perfect jacket. So now let's try layering with the Mountain Equipment Trango jacket. Mountain Equipment is also a UK brand, but they tend to fit a little bit bigger than Rab or Montane. So I did buy a medium, which is my typical size, and the Trango here actually does fit rather large. But that's really perfect. You know, I think that's very thoughtful in the design. You know, it's made to be able to be layered with, and that's part of what makes this a heavyweight parka. Is the intentional design to be layered with. And I would not be scared to take this really anywhere. You know, I think it's very equivalent to the Nilas here in a lot of ways. In other ways, not so much. You know, the design quality I think is a little bit less. It's not quite as advanced, but it is a burly jacket, and so this is going to really be effective at a more cost-effective option. You know, this is $300 or $325 MSRP, and the Nilas goes for $550. So the cost benefit, you know, I'll leave that up to you to figure out. But it's what's available to you. This is an excellent jacket, and it fits really, really, really well with the Patagonia Nano Air underneath. I really like this jacket, and it is growing on me. So let's see how the layering works with the Patagonia DAS Parka. And for the synthetic parkas, I'm only going to do the DAS Parka just because the other ones are so big and baggy that the layering is pretty much guaranteed on those if it works on the DAS Parka. So yeah, just as I expected, you know, the layering with the DAS Parka is fantastic. It's built to have a roomy cut to be able to accommodate a mid layer or two. And you know, I feel no constriction whatsoever. You know, my arms are able to go anywhere they want. I don't feel any pulling. I don't feel any tightness or constriction in the arms, in the chest, in the shoulders, nothing. This is a, you know, and you know, it's like brand with like brand, so you know, you're gonna have kind of that happy marriage there naturally, but layering with the DAS Parka is great. All right, so one thing I also want to test out here and show y'all is how these jackets, how these parkas layer over a mid layer with a shell. So if you are, you know, kind of coming up to the end of a ski tour or something like that, it's brutally cold, you're hitting a summit. You know, these big heavyweight and midweight parkas are meant to layer over everything. So I want to show what the Mountain Hardwear Nilas, the Mountain Equipment Trango, and the absolutezero can do. And I am layering this over a Rab Myriad Pro size large. It's a highly breathable Polar Tech Neo shell layer. And so this is it basically, you know. If I'm really needing something warm to throw on over my shell, over everything, the Nilas can do that very, very well. Again, you know, I am starting to feel a little bit of, you know, when you can feel your shell underneath the down layer, you know you are starting to get some compression, but absolutely, you know, you're not going to be colder for this. You will be warmer, but you know, the parka just might not be lofting to its full capability in this regard, but this is like your top of denali setup here effectively. So and if anybody has any comments, please drop them below. You know, this is meant to be educational and informative, so if you have some input, please drop it in the comments to help improve this this piece of info here. So yeah, this is a pretty good fit, and another reason why the Mountain Hardwear Nilas is just such an amazing piece of gear, because it can layer over all of these things. I'm burning up right now, so I'm going to take it off. And one thing though with the Nilas parka is it has these jersey cuffs, so trying to layer it over, you know, a hard shell that has, you know, Velcro cuffs and everything, that does get a little bit annoying and might even cause some circulation loss in your hands. So your hands might actually get a little bit colder for that, but I don't think it's too much of a problem, but just something to consider. So let's see how the Mountain Equipment Trango layers over a hard shell with a mid layer. This feels pretty good in the arms. I am starting to feel a little compression in the midsection here. You know, obviously there will almost always be compression in the body and arms of the jacket when you're layering to this degree. If you plan on layering like this frequently, you may want to consider sizing up. But when I tried on the Mountain Hardwear Phantom down hooded parka, I knew right away that I wasn't going to be able to layer with that. The arms were just too narrow, even in a large. The large was too big for me, but it wouldn't allow me to layer at all. Maybe if I wore a vest, but that didn't work. Anyway, the mountain equipment Trango with the shell on, you know, it covers pretty much the whole hood of the shell as well, which is helmet compatible. And I'm super hot in this, so I'd say the mountain equipment Trango is a great layering jacket. Parka, heavyweight layering parka. All right, let's try the big boy. So people have mixed thoughts about this. Typically, when you get up to elevation like this, you actually end up shedding your shell layers, and it's just all insulation from that point on. So I think it's kind of rare that you would ever be layering an absolute zero over a shell layer. I think it would be more realistic to have probably like a Patagonia R1 or a Mountain Hardwear Air Mesh or an Alpha Fleece with a mid layer, with perhaps even another down jacket, and then the absolute zero was kind of some things that I've seen, or just having your, you know, your base layer, your light fleece, your mid layer, and then the absolute zero. I don't think it would really ever go over a shell, but you know, to be your kind of coverall, you never know. If you're on Denali and you happen to have an absolute zero as your insulating piece, and you are too cold with just your mid layer and your shell on, you will throw on your absolute zero because that's what you have. But typically, you know, when people are hitting Everest and an 8,000 meter peak, it's all insulation. There's no need for a shell. But if you're getting to camp and you've been wearing your mid layer and your shell all day and the sun dips down, or it's just cold at camp, you know, you're not actively moving as much, you know, you might be setting up your tent site and everything like that. You might be moving some snow, which does generate a lot of heat. But once you start kind of winding down and cooking, you know, you're going to want to leave your shell and your mid layer on for a little while to let your body heat dry those things out to a degree. You may want to end up throwing, you know, if this is what you have, you may want to end up throwing this on over that, just to stay warm. So it's not out of the question, but it's not necessarily ideal. But if it's what you have, it's what you have. And just for kicks and giggles, let's see how the DAS Parka layers over the shell. This is something that I could see happening. You know, when I'm going to be out ski touring or doing something like that, maybe hitting Mount Washington in the spring, this is something that would be very realistic for me, is having this DAS Parka for spring skiing. I'm definitely going to have a shell, but you know, you get to the top of Mount Washington, the top of Tuckerman Ravine, you're gassed from boot packing up and the wind's blowing, your shell and your mid layer aren't going to cut it. So you're going to want to throw something on over it. And the DAS Parka fits really, really well over the mid layer and the shell. So I think the DAS Parka might be one of the absolute best pieces of equipment out there for keeping you warm. It's just so versatile. It is great in multiple different types of conditions that down would not be. But you know, if I had to pick two pieces that I like the best or would use the most often, it would have to be the DAS Parka and the Nilas Parka, just for the wind and weather protection, the moisture protection, the versatility, the fit, the awesome dump pockets and features, and the lightweight packability of both of these for what they are. You know, if you have to pick one parka to have, you know, it's kind of up to your preference and your situation and where you are. You know, if you're in a dry part of the country, go with down. But if you're in the Northeast like I am, going with a synthetic parka is a very, very good option. That's going to save you a lot of heartache and trouble if you have one of those shoulder weather days where it's wet snow or whatever. But if I had to pick just two of these, the Patagonia DAS Parka and the Mountain Hardwear Nilas would be the ones. Let's talk about the packability of the Rab Xenon. So I have the my 6-liter Osprey stuff sack. I don't even have to do it all up, but you can see that this thing collapses down to the size of a Chipotle burrito. Very impressive. This is an excellent piece of gear. I highly recommend the Rab Xenon. So let's test the packability of the Patagonia DAS Parka in this 6-liter Osprey stuff sack. So for a Belay Parka, that is awfully small. You know, that's about football size. This is a 32-ounce soup takeout container. That's not a lot of space. This is that's probably 4 liters of space for your parka. So it packs down really, really small for an for a synthetic layer. Now let's test the packability of the Mont-Bell Alpine down parka. So the Mont-Bell Alpine down parka it just breaks all the rules. It weighs 2 ounces more than this ultralight down jacket, but it has over twice the amount of down fill. So Mont-Bell's engineering is absolutely superb, and it packs down almost as small as this jacket does. So that's a testament to Mont-Bell. That's big points for Mont-Bell in the packability test. All right, next up, let's test the packability of the Montane Antifreeze in the 6-liter Osprey stuff sack. So for only having 750 fill down, which is kind of the minimum that I would want for a lightweight down parka, the antifreeze packs down really, really small. I mean, comparatively speaking, with this 32-ounce soup takeout container, you know, this is probably 4 ounces. Sorry, 4 liters. Maybe even 3.5, but I got a couple of rolls down on it, and I'm really happy with the packability and size of this. So Montane Antifreeze is absolutely a keeper in my book. You know, you got to look at the full picture. Don't judge a book by its fill weight or fill power rather. For, you know, 210 grams of down insulation, and you know, for being 750 fill, this packs down really, really small. So definitely a huge fan of this. Let's compare this to the Rab Electron. All right, so this is a marked difference in the packability of the antifreeze versus the Rab Electron. So the antifreeze again is 210 grams of 750 fill power down, and the Rab Electron is 190 grams of 800 fill power down. So you can see the Rab Electron does get surprisingly small, and it actually blows my mind every time, because the Rab Electron feels like kind of a bulky jacket, despite it being so trim. But the packability, you know, it really is impressive. Rab makes a fantastic product. I wish I'd gotten a large because that would fit me a lot better. But you know, it's the proof is in the pudding here. The proof is in the packability here. All right, let's try out one of the big boys here. Let's see how the Mountain Hardwear Nilas packs down into the 6-liter stuff sack. All right, so the Mountain Hardwear Nilas
fully packed down, probably 4.5 liters impact size. That was kind of tough to do just because the face fabric is designed to not be as breathable but to be more wind resistant, so it trapped a lot of air in there. But you know, that's one of the things that makes this parka so freaking warm and able to be used on the top of Denali with only 215 grams of downfill. That face fabric really does a lot for the warmth. Now, I'm not going to touch the Montane Chonos or the Mountain Hardwear absolutezero, and I'm not going to put them in the 6-liter stuff sack. They're just too big for that. But I will fold up this Mountain Hardwear absolutezero and try to pack it down and show you just how big of a bear this is. And you know, you don't always want to have the biggest and baddest parka. You know, you really got to read the weather, know what you're getting into, know the conditions for that time of year, and really use that to factor in your decision as to what you're going to bring. But you know, this thing is just absolutely massive. This is as big as my 20-degree sleeping bag fully packed. So, you know, that is a consideration there. I think this weighs more than my 20-degree down sleeping bag. So that's about it. I really want to thank all of you for sitting through this extremely long video, but if it helped you understand a little bit more about belay parkas and what to look for, and help gave you a reference as to what you might be interested in purchasing, really thank you. And if you could help me out and just leave a comment or like this video or even subscribe, that would be a huge help for me. So thank you, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks.